I'm going to take some photos. It's quiet, there's not much detailing going on. So the plan is, we took some photos of the Porsche under the lift with the new kind of lighting setup recently. So I'm going to show you the setup we've got. I'm going to take the Porsche out, I'm going to put the Mercedes underneath and put the roof down and take some photos of that with the Sony. Get a nice set for the socials, for the business, and also for my photography channel. And then, yeah, edit them up. So we're going to get the Sony out. I haven't shot with that in a while. I'll use 85 for a little bit, because again, I haven't used that in a while, and I've been using the Fuji a lot, which is a kind of a 35. I think something with a bit of compression suits my shooting style. So Sony a7 III, still using this bad boy, absolute weapon of a camera. Haven't done some proper shoots in a while, so I'm a bit rusty. So one of the nice things about this setup is that the staircase aligns really nicely with the car for a high angle. So you can walk kind of halfway up the stairs and get a really lovely kind of top-down establishing shot. So I'm going to polarize the car so the lights aren't too crazy. I'm going to expose for my highlights, so the reflection in the car and then the bonnet, and then my shadows in the bumper later, I can fix that. I'm going to focus, I'm actually going to stop to about 1/25 of a second and then change my aperture to about a 3.5 to get more of the car in focus. And I'm going to focus on the front of the bonnet here and shoot that. I'm going to get the same shot. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know my style of photography is quite grungy, maybe you'd say, a little bit dramatic. I like shooting at night a lot, so for me, this setup is great because it's super dark, it's super kind of, yeah, shadowy and kind of contrasty. It's a really lovely, for me, a really nice way of shooting. I love those harsh shadows. Using rule of thirds here, so you'll see the car is taking up kind of the bottom right corner, and then I've got all the other thirds free. I'm also trying to stop myself from shooting too much vertical at the moment because I'm a bit sick of social media and vertical shots. Okay, I'm going to focus on the Mercedes badge in the middle. Okay, get a nice top down of the badge and the Charlie detailing logo. The polarizers were doing what I wanted to do there. Yeah, really nice. I'm going to shoot through this little gap here. I always get a lot of questions about my focus modes and my settings. I was shooting 1/13 of a second, which is super slow. My focus modes, I'm just normally on kind of autofocus, so I just let it do what it wants. Normally it gets what I want it to do, and if it doesn't, on the Sony a7 III, I can just tap my screen and it becomes spot focus, and then I can just create, I can choose my joystick where I'm focusing. So it's, yeah. Not sure about that. And then my other shooting settings, well, the other things I've got on this camera is a circular polarizer, which is super important for cars, as you'll see on my screen now. If you can see that well, let me try and get it good for you. If I turn my circular polarizer, the windscreen, so I'm polarizing the windscreen now and there's not too much glare in it, and that's not polarizing, it's a super white super white light. So I'm going to change now. I've kind of hit the limit of what I can get with this lens, because I can only shoot the car from the front with an 85. From behind, I'm a bit too close. Maybe I'll try and shoot through at the front wheel with one. And now I'm going to switch to 24-70 and then get some wider top-down shots of the back of the car, the front of the car. Yeah, some more of the details. I could probably do a few more detailed shots with this lens, actually. The classic vents as well. Maybe a little shoot through, get some foreground element. This might even be a better horizontal shot. Lens switch. We go for the 2470, and then let's get you a bit of a different angle. You can just kind of see me moving around a little bit. Okay, so 2470, also polarized. I think this is the version 1 from Sigma. This is probably one of my most used lenses. I know a lot of photographers are like, oh, prime lenses, but this thing's a bad boy lens. Full cockpit view. Okay, we've got good establishing shots. We've got everything. I might do a couple wide shots from the stairs, but I'll do that last. So for now, I'm also just going to go inside the car, take a few nice close-ups on details. So we're going to get the start-stop button here. Everyone loves the start-stop button. If you want to see the final results, obviously a lot of them are flicked up on the screen now. If you want to see kind of how I post this, or like kind of what the Instagram post looks like, or even how the Instagram post performs, because fuck knows, then check out the Instagram. It's the same as the channel name, because I'm just creative like that. And then maybe just a little shoot through of the seat. Okay, super wide. And then one of my favorite shots from here is a through shot of this little triangle here. Yeah, this little kind of shot here with the Sony. It looks good. So just a little kind of spying shot. Happy days, right. I think for now I've got everything I need. Take the photos upstairs, I'm going to import them, and I'm going to have a little play of editing. Right, okay, so I'm going to go on my photos. I'm going to rate the ones I want to keep and edit for the set and that are good, that aren't blurry, that I like. 1 star, everything else I'm just not going to rate and have it 0 star. I'm then going to filter my catalog. So let's start this now before I get ahead of myself. So opening my first image, and I'm just going to flick backwards and forwards, and 1 star images. So for example, these ones, I'm just really quickly doing it, but these two are pretty much the same, but the composition on the second one's a bit better. The car's more centered, so I'm going to go with that. That one is nice. I only took 1 of it. That was also lovely. Oh, but then I think I prefer that with less ground. That's a banger. And that's it. 36 images, smash through it. I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going to click 1 star. Now I'm going to pick my favorite image, my kind of hero image, the image either that I like the most for the first image of my Instagram set. So it's probably going to be a cut picture of the whole car. But like that's kind of going to be the rule of it. So it might not be my favorite. My favorite is normally a horizontal image, but for the first image of a set, I always go for a vertical because you can get the whole car in it. Otherwise you have to go, I want to make the most of the iPhone screen. So we're going to start with that. It might not be my hero image. They're all very similar anyway. Now I do have presets. I was trying to build a preset pack. Oh my God, that looks sick already. That one's called Always Looks Good, and it always looks good. No matter what the film photo, that preset looks nice. If people are really interested in presets, I kind of half put a bit of effort into making a pack. Maybe I'll make a pack and sell it quite cheap if people really want it. Tell me what you think. If you do really want one, then I'll make it my mission over the next few months to like get it out there, and I'll make it like a really good price. So it's just like, yeah, it's an easy buy, and you get like fucking, I don't know, 10, 15 like nice presets. But I'm going to edit from scratch. So the way I edit is I always start the same way. I'm going to take my contrast, I'm going to drop it down a bit. I want to get all the detail out of my things. The highlights, normally I would drop a bit, but the highlights are really nice on the car, and I also don't want that light above the car to look like, I don't want to see any detail in that light. I want it to be blown out. So I'm going to leave my highlights as is. My shadows, I'm going to raise a little bit, again, to bring out detail. My whites, I've got a lot of peaking from the top, but not too much. I'm going to raise them a little bit. My blacks, I'm also going to raise a bit. And now I've got quite a flat image. I'm going to decrease my clarity by about 20. I always do the same. And increase my texture by about 7 or something. I'm going to take my saturation down a good chunk and increase my vibrance ever so slightly. That's how I start most of my photos. Then I come back later and I'll change that stuff. The next thing I'll do is I'll take my tone curve and I'll apply a S curve to it. This puts contrast back into my image, but in a way I like. I'm also going to take my blacks and I'm just going to raise them up and in a bit to clip the blacks. Again, it's something that suits my style and I really like on images, and we'll do a quick before and after. So I've really just kind of taken the image and brought out the detail, and now I can use masks and selective edits to control where my light is and kind of how the image looks. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to take my color grading, I'm going to take my luminance slider and I'm going to raise it a little bit on my midtones. I'm going to go down, and something I always forget to do first, that I should do first, is enable my profile corrections and remove chromatic aberration, which would have changed a few things that I've just done, but that's fine. I am not going to denoise the image because it's not that noisy and it's just fucking makes the file size huge. I'm not going to click any of that stuff. Sharpening, I am sharpening for socials. Now, my export settings I'll talk about at the end, but there's nothing special about them. All I do is put fuckloads of sharpening on there. I hold Option on Mac, and I think it's Alt on a Windows computer. And I drag my masking slider, and now I'm seeing what's getting sharpened. And I'm going to take it until I don't get anything apart from the defining lines of my subject. So there. So this would be not enough because you can see all those lines in the bonnet from like all the texture in it. That would just make it look messy. I'm going to take it all the way just so it's sharpening the very edges, like so. Now I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to create a few masks. So first I'm going to create a subject mask, and let's see how it does. Not amazing. It's quite like hazy around my subject, which isn't great. So I'm actually going to delete that mask. I'm going to create an object mask, zoom in on my subject, and I'm going to paint. You don't have to be too accurate with this because the AI is pretty good. I'm just going to kind of paint over the bits that the edges of the subject so it doesn't accidentally miss a bit. And then just scribble over my subject. And that's way better. I'm going to subtract with a brush. Come on, laptop, what are you doing? Oh, do it. Undo. Where's my brush? Why have I not got, why can't I see it? Okay, that's pretty interesting. On my mask, subtract with a brush. I'm going to make my brush a little bigger, and I'm just going to paint around the edge. A little trick with this, if I click here and then hold Shift and click on the end of that panel, it's going to draw a straight line, and I can just keep clicking around my subject and removing this kind of green haze from my mask that I don't want over it. Because then otherwise it's going to look really weird. It'll have like a really blurry kind of halo around the car. I'm also just going to remove the seats because it doesn't matter. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to right click, duplicate and invert the mask. So now I also have a background mask. Like that. I'm going to create a linear gradient mask for my floor, and this will be, and I'm going to hold Shift just to make sure it's straight. Then that way it doesn't flip on me. And then I'm going to start by decreasing my exposure on the floor. I'm going to move that up a little bit towards the car. I'm just going to take all the interest out of the foreground. I'm going to take my background mask. I'm going to decrease the exposure a little bit. But I'm also going to remove from this mask this light because I don't want the exposure decreasing on this. I want it to be blown out and really bright. Otherwise, it's creating a nice bit of haze around it as well. Otherwise, it's going to look really, really odd. Okay, so that's that is that mask. Actually, hold on. I'm just going to hold Option and just remove what I did a little bit around the very edge of this because it looks a bit weird. I don't want the haze. All right, now this is the big one, subject. Again, this is all kind of standard stuff I do with my moody night shots and the studio style shots I do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my subject selection mask and I'm going to go down to my curve. I'm going to raise the center of the curve quite a bit. Now I'm going to grab around about a quarter of the way up the curve and then drop the blacks back down again to put the contrast back into it so it doesn't look too fake. I've gone a bit too hard on the raising there. Now, one thing that's important, never change the black point on your subject because what you'll do is make it really look fake and it'll look like it's a completely different photo and you've just photoshopped it together. And then that's kind of the very basic edit I'll do on a car image. Now we're going to go a little bit more technical on it and we're going to go into a little bit more depth. So I'm going to go to my temperature slider and I'm going to take a selection of that's too blown out, of the front of the car and see what that does. For me, that's a little bit too warm, so I'm just going to decrease my temperature a little bit. About there. I'm going to take my tint and I'm going to play around with that a little bit. I'm going to have it a little bit more to the green side. Normally I edit towards the purples, but I like that. Then I'm going to come down, I'm going to take my, oh dear, it's had an update, dust, okay. Dust, anybody? No. I'm going to take my, thought I heard something. My eraser tool and using AI detection, and I'm going to remove this band of natural light. Oh shit. Cancel this band of natural light here and try and just turn it black. Let's see what Lightroom wants to do if I do that. I'm going to click remove. It seemed to select a nice amount of it. I'm happy with that. Perfect. I'm also going to take it and I'm going to select my little cable here that's really annoying. How are we going to do there? Let's see what it does. It might go a little bit overboard here. No, it's absolutely nailed it a little bit. No, that's fine. Now I'm going to take another mask. I'm going to take my subject mask and I'm going to duplicate the mask, not invert it, just duplicate. And I'm going to reset the duplication so there's no settings on it. I'm now going to subtract from that mask a linear gradient and take away most of the car except the front, which is the darker part. Now, just with my front selected, I'm going to increase my shadows a little bit. But to counter kind of the fake look of it, I'm going to increase my contrast as well. I'm also going to slightly raise my whites on that. And let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see what's going on here. And I think I need to just warm that edge up a little bit of the car. Like that. And I think a little bit less on the shadows. And instead we're just going to go exposure. Okay, and then let's just have a look without the mask, with the mask. So we're just bringing a little bit more detail into the front of the car. Fantastic. So I'm pretty happy with this already. To be honest, this is probably all right to export as is. I think I'm going to just bring my blacks down a little bit. And I'm going to raise the black point a little bit more. And now I'm going to go to my color grading. We used to call it split toning. And into my shadows, I'm just going to add a little bit of green. I'm going to take the luminance of it down a little bit and play around the blending, see what that does. Whoa, 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 whoa. Leave the balance where it is. And then I'm also going to have a play with my curves over the whole image. So I'm just going to take, I quite often when I'm editing drop my, I'm going to reset my split tones. I don't like that. We're going to just play a little bit around with what we want. I like the greens, so I'm going to just drop this a little bit into the greens. And I'm going to create maybe in general a little S on all of them. In fact, let's just, if I copy the settings, and then I'm going to create a little bit of green in my shadows. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the highlights. And then we'll do a cheeky before and after. That's before and that's after. And then we can see also a comparison on it. The car is quite blue, but I'm not necessarily going for a... I'm going to just increase the temperature a little bit. As it stands, I'm just going to remove a little bit of dust from the floor. I like the edit. Normally what I'll do now is I will copy the edit and I'll paste it onto another photo with the masks, and then I'll play with the masks. It takes a lot of time because I've got to do all the brush stuff again. And then I'll work through kind of the final images that I really want for a set. I will take them all over to a quick group or whatever it's called on Lightroom, edit them, and then I'll kind of make a little set out of them for Instagram. I just remembered I didn't export them. So now I'm going to export them. You can see my export settings. I'm going to go File, Export. Now sharpening was the big part you already saw. I'm going to do 100% JPEGs in sRGB. I'm not limiting my file size. My resolution is 300 pixels per inch, and I'm not going to fucking touch anything. I'm going to export them. I'm going to put them on Instagram. They're going to look good. I don't care what anyone says. There's nothing else you need to do. The sharpening is the most important part. Bye-bye.